What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. This video, we've been talking a lot about potential trade targets on this channel. Haven't really been talking about too many free agent targets. So we're gonna do that in this video. We're gonna be talking about a free agent target, and not just any free agent target, a center free agent target. Now, obviously, the Canucks are likely going to solve their second line center problem via a trade than in free agency. We heard Jim Rutherford himself say that, they're going to do most of their business, most of their work via trade, and they may not even sign a free agent because of cap space and spending all their cap on, replenishing their forward group via a trade. But this is a option that I am very fond of and someone I am very interested in. So I figured we'd do a video on it. I believe we have done a video on this particular player in the past, around the trade deadline. We talked about him. So you guys can check out that video here on the channel. I will leave a link to it right up here. You guys can check that out. But before I do so, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art. So let's go ahead and give a big thank you and a big shout out to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art. Gassy Jack Art produces hockey prints on archival paper and canvas that have been rated to last over 100 years. The product range features a variety of players from different teams, including the Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, Colorado Avalanche, as well as your Vancouver Canucks and more. They also have some non-hockey related prints, such as baseball prints, wrestling prints, some prints from films as well. So go ahead and check them out at GassyJackArt.com. They also currently have their end of season sale going on, where you can add 4 prints to your cart and 2 of them will be free when you go to check out. These prints range from $20 to $25, so you're getting a steal of a deal here, paying $40 for 4 prints instead of $80. Definitely take advantage of this deal while you can before the sale ends. You can also find Gassy Jack Art on Instagram at Gassy Jack Art. These prints are so incredibly detailed. I myself have about 10 prints and intend on continuing to add my collection. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to GassyJackArt.com and get your prints today. All right, so let's go ahead and break down this article, dive into it. Let's talk about Jack Roslovic. So this article is brought to us by our friends at Canucks Army, in particular, Stefan Roget. When it comes to publishing these sort of articles, you may have noticed that we're putting out a lot more trade targets than free agency targets. That's not without reason. While a great many players may or may not be available on the trade market this upcoming summer, we know for a fact that the UFA pool is a shallow one. Not only is the pool shallow, but with cap ceiling skyrocketing, one could say that the water supply has been cranked up to fire hose levels. A small handful of quality UFAs is about to get paid, and paid big is what we're saying, and that makes identifying reasonable targets for the not exactly cap flush Vancouver Canucks all the more difficult. There are no perfect solutions to be found in the free agent frenzy for the Canucks. However, there are useful players to be found all the same, including one that the Vancouver front office has reportedly had their eyes on for some time, Jack Roslovic. We first heard tell of the Canucks' interest in Roslovic back when he was a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who were thought to be in pursuit of JT Miller, though nothing concrete ever materialized there. Roslovic hit unrestricted free agency last summer, but the Canucks allocated most of their spending to Jake DeBrusk, who didn't leave much left over to pursue Roslovic, even if they'd wanted to. Ultimately, he signed a 1-year, $2.8 million deal with Carolina. Then his name popped up throughout the 2024-25 as talks between the Hurricanes and the Canucks reportedly occurred over players like Miller, Elias Pettersson, and then later Brock Besser. Suffice to say that there's been enough smoke around Roslovic and the Canucks by now to suggest that there's some genuine interest, and with Vancouver in need of forwards and in possession of more cap space in this Roslovic's second consecutive summer of free agency, maybe it's time to finally land him. Let's take a look at the player himself. Usually we start with the basic biographic stuff because that just makes sense, but with Roslovic, it's also a list of his best features, at least as far as the Canucks are concerned. He's 28, stands 6 feet and 200 pounds, shoots right, and can play any forward position, including center. That's more or less everything the Canucks are looking for in a forward acquisition this offseason. And while Roslovic has never delivered any eye-popping offensive totals, what he does bring to the table is incredibly consistent offense. For the past 5 seasons, Roslovic has either scored or been on pace for between 40 and 45 points. Some might see that as either middle six or perhaps bottom end second line production, but it's production that can be counted on. Roslovic also has a penchant for delivering goals and assists in roughly equal measure, scoring as many as 22 goals in a single season, including in 2024-25. It should also be noted that only one of those goals and 2 of his points came on the power play, with the rest coming at even strength. Roslovic's 21 even strength goals tied Sebastian Aho for the team lead and ranked 42nd in the NHL overall last year. That consistent production even extends to the playoffs, where Roslovic had 12 points in 25 games over the past 2 postseasons. Defensively speaking, Roslovic has a bit of a mixed reputation. His days in Columbus featured up and down results, but his analytic stats since coming to New York and then Carolina suggest that may have had more to do with the team around him. With the Rangers and Hurricanes, Roslovic maintained a Corsi as high as 57.55% and controlled as many as 54.55% of the on-ice scoring chances. He didn't kill penalties for the Hurricanes last year, but it's something he's done before. If he can't be called a true two-way player, he's at the very least proven he's not a defensive liability. The scouts say that Roslovic's game runs through his quick skating and acceleration, traits that the Canucks have tended to look for in recent forward acquisitions. Occasionally, he's drawn criticism for not using that speed to drive play, especially when he's slotted into the center position. It's less of an issue when he's on the wing. One critique of Roslovic used to be that he was a little too pass first, but those 21 even strength goals suggest that's something he's gotten over since. He may have also recently figured out faceoffs after having never come close to a 50% rating. He ended up at 54.1% in 2024-25, though again, he did spend the majority of the season on the wing. Let's take a look at how much it would cost to acquire Jack Roslovic. Roslovic isn't exactly a top-tier UFA, but in this market, anyone has the chance to be paid like one. The Canucks will hope to strike a deal with him that's at least swallowable, even if a little sticker shock is inevitable. The folks at AFP Analytics have projected a 3-year, $4.094 million AAV contract for Roslovic. That's all it takes. It's hard to imagine the Canucks having an issue with the price. That sounds like a contract that will essentially be league average by the time the puck drops on the 2025-26 season. It also sounds like a lot less than, say, Pius Suter will sign for, and that's who Roslovic would be replacing on the Canucks roster if the Canucks were to acquire him. That being said, we would not be at all surprised to see the bidding grow well beyond those numbers. The supply of UFAs is limited. Roslovic has size, skating, and a right shot on his side, and he's coming off a great goal-scoring season. Those factors generally add up to a salary boost, that's to say nothing of the bidding wars that are expected to ensue with cap space abundant league-wide. Here, the Canucks will need to set reasonable limits on what Roslovic is worth to them, then try to stick to those guns, keeping either the term or the salary under 5. Sounds like a worthy goal, whether it's a realistic one or not. Let's take a look at the fit and how Jack Roslovic would fit on this Canucks roster. Canucks need offense, and with Besser departing, they specifically need goals. Even if the bidding on him gets a little out of whack, Roslovic seems to be one of the most cost-effective sources of goal scoring available right now. His ability to play all forward positions is definitely of specific interest to the Canucks too. There's been talk of moving Filipino to the wing, so having a fellow wing center hybrid to platoon with him could be of benefit. Now, of course, in our previous video, if you guys didn't catch it, we discussed that topic in particular of Filipino potentially moving to the wing. You guys can check that video right here. Conversely, if the Canucks were to acquire a more definitive center, then it's easy enough to put Roslovic back on the wing. It may be nice to have him there as a backup to a smaller center, like, for example, Marco Rossi. Heck, it's maybe not even a bad idea to put someone on the wing of Elias Pettersson who can help him take faceoffs on his offside. In other words, there are fits all over the place for Roslovic throughout the Canucks' potential top 9. That says as much about the versatile Roslovic as it does the Canucks, and it may explain why their interest in him has been so consistent over the years, almost as consistent as Jack Roslovic himself. So that is Jack Roslovic. You guys can see why I'm a big fan of this guy. He can play anywhere, which is not something that we really have, on this team. We don't really have a, we talk about Pius Suter being a Swiss Army knife. Well, if Suter walks, which is likely what he's going to do, he's going to test the market. I should say, when we lose Suter, we're losing a Swiss Army knife. Imagine if we were to sign Roslovic, and with one Swiss Army knife coming out, another potential one could be coming in. Although it doesn't really hit as much as, Suter actually being Swiss. But you know what I'm trying to get at with that. So you basically, one Swiss Army knife out the door, another one comes in the form of Jack Roslovic. That's where I'm kind of thinking on this whole thing. But I want to know what you guys think about Roslovic and the potential for the Canucks to sign him, and also that what he's projected to make 3 years. What was it? 3 years under $5 million. I would do that. $4.094 million for 3 years. Yeah, sign me up. I'm all for that. Especially, this is a bit, dream scenario here. Canucks go out and trade for Marco Rossi. Canucks acquire, or rather sign as a free agent, Jack Roslovic. You have your center depth as EP40, Rossi, Roslovic. And then either Bluger or Ratu fighting for, the your 4C. I kind of like that. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about that. But as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to also, if you want to stay up to date on all your Canucks content, whether that's Abbotsford Canucks or the Vancouver Canucks, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. You can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. Find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on X at Line Change Van. Find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. If you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, once again, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us. It is greatly appreciated. That's going to do it for me in this video. As always, let's go Canucks. Let's go Abby Canucks. And I'll see you guys in the next video.